Hey everyone, welcome back. For today's deep dive, we're cracking open a really intriguing article that I know a bunch of you requested. It's all about the 7 financial moves you can make before 30 to set yourself up for success. Sometimes finance can feel like this big mystery, but I promise this is different. We're talking actionable tips, mind-blowing insights, and maybe even some fun facts along the way.
It's true, finance doesn't have to be dry. And that's where I come in. I'm here to help connect those dots between theory and real-world application so you can actually use this knowledge to level up your financial life.
Exactly. All right, so let's dive into this treasure chest of financial wisdom. What's the first gem we're uncovering?
Well, the article jumps right in with a really powerful concept, and that is understanding capitalism. But not just on a surface level, right? We're talking about truly grasping how wealth is generated.
That's what I love about these deep dives. It's not just about budgeting or clipping coupons. It's about understanding the system we're playing in.
I like that. It's about understanding the rules of the game. The article argues that true financial literacy starts with getting how capital works, those assets that actually generate more wealth.
Okay, I'm hooked already. So what does understanding capital actually look like in real life?
Imagine this. You're 25 years old, you've got a decent income. You could focus solely on just increasing that income stream, right? Working longer hours, maybe picking up a side hustle.
Yeah, makes sense. Work more, earn more.
Right, nothing wrong with that. But what if, instead, you directed some of that income towards building a well of capital? Things like investments, rental properties, those assets that generate their own income streams.
So instead of just earning, you're building a system where your money is actually working for you. Now that's a game changer.
Absolutely. And this article dives into specific strategies for doing just that, even before you hit the big 3 arrow.
Okay, I'm ready. Lay it on me.
So, for example, it challenges this common misconception that all debt is bad debt. You know how we're always told debt is bad, debt is bad?
Oh, I've heard that my whole life.
Right. But this article dives into how the wealthy strategically use good debt to acquire assets that appreciate in value over time.
Wait, hold on. Good debt. Okay, you're going to have to break this down for me because that sounds like, I don't know, like a mythical creature.
Yeah.
Like a unicorn.
Haha, I know, right? But think about it this way. Taking out a mortgage, for example, to buy a rental property. Yeah, that's a significant amount of debt for sure. But if chosen strategically, the rental income could cover that mortgage payment, your property taxes, and ideally even generate some positive cash flow each month.
So you're leveraging debt to actually acquire an asset that then generates income and could appreciate in value. Okay,
Yeah.
suddenly debt doesn't seem so scary if you're using it strategically. But how do you even know if a particular debt is good debt?
That's where understanding these key financial metrics comes in. Things like your debt-to-income ratio, your DTI, and, of course, return on investment, your ROI.
Okay, those sound kind of intimidating. Could you break those down a little bit?
Sure. So your DTI is essentially how much of your gross monthly income is going towards paying off debts. Lower is better when it comes to DTI and qualifying for things like loans. And then ROI helps you assess the profitability of an investment.
So if we're talking about that rental property example, a good ROI would mean the rental income is significantly outweighing those costs associated with actually owning and maintaining that property.
Exactly. And this article gives you a framework for actually making those calculations so you can decide if an investment lines up with your goals.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together. I like to think of it like learning a new language, but instead of words, we're talking about financial concepts and strategies.
I love that analogy. And speaking of understanding the rules of the game, this article takes us even deeper into the system by demystifying the often intimidating world of central banks and interest rates.
Yes. That section definitely piqued my curiosity. It's like this mysterious force that impacts all of our financial lives, but most of us don't actually get how it works.
And that's the thing, right? Understanding the role of central banks is like gaining this financial superpower because their decisions on interest rates, well, they have this ripple effect on everything from, your savings to mortgages, even investments.
Okay, tell me more about this superpower because
Yes.
honestly, the ins and outs of central banks always seemed a bit beyond my grasp.
It's all about making those connections, right? Think of a central bank like the conductor of an orchestra. They set the tempo, in this case, that's the interest rate, which then influences the entire financial system.
Okay, I like that analogy. So if the conductor speeds up the tempo, meaning interest rates go up, how does that actually impact, like, my personal finances?
Let's say you're thinking about buying your first home, right? If the central bank raises interest rates, well, your mortgage rate is probably going up too, and that means you'll be paying more in interest over the life of that loan.
Ouch. Yeah, that makes a huge difference. So knowing how to sort of anticipate those rate changes could actually save someone a ton of money over time.
Exactly. It's all about being proactive, right? And this article, it really encourages us to become more financially aware, to really understand the forces that are shaping our options instead of just reacting to them.
I love that. It's like we're not just along for the ride. We can actually learn to navigate the financial landscape strategically.
Yes, exactly. And speaking of strategy, the article then kind of shifts gears a bit and goes into the importance of diversifying your portfolio, specifically with assets that have, stood the test of time, things like gold and real estate.
Right, those classic safe haven assets.
Yeah.
But honestly, buying gold bars seems, I don't know, a little out of reach for someone like me who's still, building that foundation.
I hear that. And that's often where real estate comes in, especially for those under 30 who are looking to build long-term wealth, particularly rental properties.
Okay, yeah, tell me more about that. What makes rental properties so special when we're talking about building wealth?
Okay, so picture this. You buy a duplex, you live in one unit, and you rent out the other. That rental income, it's now covering a big chunk, maybe even all of your mortgage. Of course, that depends on your location, the rental market, all that.
So I'm basically living mortgage-free, and I own an asset that could increase in value over time. That's amazing.
Right. Plus, you're benefiting from what we call cash flow, that steady stream of income that the rental property generates.
Okay, so it's not just the property itself, it's the income it can create. But I'm guessing there's a lot to consider before, just diving headfirst into real estate.
Absolutely. Location, location, location.
Right.
Understanding that local rental market, how to manage a property, and making sure your numbers all make sense, like from mortgage rates to potential maintenance costs, all of that.
Sounds like thorough research is key.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely adding explore rental properties to my financial to-do list.
Yes. Love it. Okay. Are you ready for another, maybe even bigger game changer?
Hit me.
All right. The article dives into the magic, and honestly, it really is like magic, of compound interest. It can supercharge your wealth building journey, especially when you start early on.
Compound interest. I'll be honest, that phrase has always sounded kind of intimidating to me. Like something only financial gurus really understood.
It does sound complicated, but it's actually pretty straightforward. It's just earning interest on your interest. So let's say you're 25 and you decide to invest $500 each month into a low-cost index fund. Let's assume that gets you an average annual return of 7%.
Okay, I'm following so far. And $500 a month, that's doable, even on a young professional's budget.
Exactly. So over the next 10 years, assuming those consistent returns, your investment would grow to around, let me see, about $86,000. But here's where that magic comes in, thanks to compound interest. After 20 years, it balloons to over $230,000. And get this, in 30 years, you'd be looking at over $600,000 from that same $500 a month.
Whoa. Okay, that's an insane difference. And to think it all came from consistent investing and, the power of compound interest working its magic over time.
It's incredible, right? And that's why this article really, really emphasizes starting early. The sooner you get started, even with smaller amounts, the more time your money has to grow exponentially.
I like that old saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today.
Exactly. And speaking of maximizing your financial potential, the article then goes on to tackle a subject I think a lot of us tend to dread: taxes.
Taxes. Ugh. Yeah, not the most exciting topic I know, but hey, if there are legal ways to hold on to more of my hard-earned money, I am all ears.
Yeah, taxes, nobody's favorite subject, right? But what if, instead of thinking of it as this burden, we looked at it like a puzzle to solve? This article encourages us to, be strategic about taxes.
A puzzle, huh?
Huh?
I like that. So what are some of the, I don't know, like the pieces of this tax puzzle we got to figure out?
Well, the article gets into a bunch of different deductions and, loopholes that, when used correctly, obviously, can really reduce how much you owe come tax time. For example, did you know that, as someone under 30 who's probably, early in their career, there are certain retirement account contributions that could actually lead to tax deductions?
Wait, really? So not only am I saving for the future, but I could also be reducing my tax bill right now. Talk about a win-win.
Exactly. It's like knowing the rules of the game and using them to your advantage. And trust me, there are more strategies than you might think.
Okay, now you've really got me intrigued. I'm starting to see how, I don't know, understanding these tax strategies is like leveling up my finances.
Absolutely. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more interesting, this article throws in a curveball. It talks about offshore strategies.
Hmm.
But before you start picturing yourself on some tropical beach, it's important to, approach this topic carefully, maybe with a little bit of healthy skepticism too.
Offshore strategies. That almost sounds a little bit like, I don't know, something out of a spy movie or something.
Yeah.
Is this even relevant to like someone like me who's just starting to build their financial security?
Yeah, it's definitely a more, advanced concept. We often hear about it more with high net worth individuals. But I do think it's good to at least be aware of these strategies, even just because it highlights how global finance really is. And the article does a pretty good job of giving a simple explanation of things like, what tax-friendly countries are and that 183-day rule that people always misunderstand.
Okay, yeah, break that down for me. What is that 183-day rule?
So basically, some countries offer like tax advantages to people who live there for a certain amount of time, which is often, around 183 days out of the year. However, really important to remember these strategies, they're complex. There are a lot of regulations, potential downsides, and of course, ethical considerations too.
Right, so it's not as simple as like booking a one-way ticket to a tropical island and calling it a day. Huh.
Not quite, no. It's so important to do your homework, talk to the pros, legal and financial advisors, make sure you really get all the details before even considering going down that road.
Got it. Kind of like discovering a hidden path on our financial treasure map, right? Potentially rewarding, but definitely requires careful navigation.
That's a great way to put it. And while, offshore strategies might be something you look into further down the line, the big takeaway here is just knowledge is power. The more you understand the world of finance, even the complicated stuff, the better decisions you'll make. Decisions that really work towards your goals and what you value.
That's such an important message.
Huh.
So as we wrap up this amazing deep dive, what would you say is the most valuable piece of advice someone under 30 could take away from all of this, to start building that solid financial foundation?
If I could go back and give my younger self one piece of financial advice, it would be this. Start early. Doesn't matter if it's investing in your education, a retirement account, whatever it is, time is your best friend when it comes to building wealth. Never underestimate the magic of compound interest and the power of just doing something consistently.
Such wise words. And I think that's a perfect note to end on. To all of you listening, remember,
Yeah.
building a strong financial foundation before 30, it is doable.
Mhm.
Absolutely. By being curious, learning as much as you can, and then actually using that knowledge, you can achieve financial freedom. It's out there. So go out there and create the future you want.